'Cause it's Dave
and Sean
from Barstools and
Bandtalk, complete maritime music bucket list. And that, who knows, that might be changing. We're branching out. I tell you,
it might
we're
be
becoming
more
more
than buckets. It could be pails and shovels and pickaxes, and Lord only knows.
Yep. I'd like to call it the complete uninterrupted or uninterrupting music bucket list. That'd be great.
Check, 1, 2.
Yeah. That'd be great if we could do that for, once. That'd be awesome. But anyway, we're not going to bicker. We're not going to fight. We're not going to argue. We're going to have some fun. Our next guest, I've not had the pleasure of actually seeing her, but a number of my friends have played in bands with her and been in her band. I know she's a talent because I've seen some video. Fireball, I think, is a good way of describing her. And we're really, really excited to be doing this segment here.
Yes, sir. We're going to bring you tonight a special guest, again, part of our women who are rocking the maritime segment. And her current bands, you'll see her is in the Louisiana band, but you also see her with our good friend Neil McKinnon in a duo for a lot of years. And she's going to talk about some of her own history too, because we're kind of excited to bring on Louisa Manuel. And she should be right.
Hi.
There she is.
Here we are.
How's Louisa?
I'm great. And how are you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Actually, I slid this over. It's actually funny. I get punching. I got Louisa's iPad. It's in your living room. And then I got you. That's awesome.
Brady Bunch, for those of us that remember the Brady Bunch. Exactly.
Yes, that's right. I only heard about remember it. I'm just kidding.
Not that old. Yeah, I do remember Brady Bunch, yes.
I do. I'm just playing. So, it's great to meet you, Louisa. I actually, I know I've played in bands with a few people that I think Jeff Hope used to play with you. Did he not?
Absolutely. I love Jeff Hope. When I met Jeff Hope, he's just a youngin' just starting out in the music business, just a little sweetheart, absolute lovely person.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine in the band with him years ago. Actually, had the opportunity to play with him at a wedding this past September. It was a lot of fun. He's a talent, great bass player, great singer.
Is he?
Funny as hell.
No ego at all. He's I love him. I met him when he was just, like I say, he was just a kid. Now he's all grown up.
Yeah, he's got an ego now. No, I'm just kidding. He does not have it.
Sweetie.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So, Louisa, tell me where it starts for you. Are you originally from here? Where are you originally from?
I am a 4th generation Dartmouth girl.
That's my girl. Give it a real. That's right.
I'm proud to be from Dartmouth. My mother's an American, and she moved here to marry my father, who was like a Dartmouth boy. And he passed away about 2 years ago, but he knew everything about Dartmouth and was so proud of it. So, yeah, I'm a 4th generation. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my father, and me.
Excellent.
So what part of Dartmouth did you grow up in?
I grew up around Southdale area on Hilltop Terrace near Essen Road.
Yep.
I went to Southdale School, Prince Arthur, and Dartmouth High. And my father grew up on Rodney Road, and the house is still there. It's changed now, but the house is still there. So
you're a Woodside girl.
Well, yeah, I guess we were like over the. Yes, yeah. I guess so.
Right on. Nope.
When you're up the hill,
I'm
you're
a
not really
Woodlawn
Woodside
fella
anymore. That's right.
That's right.
No, I guess we don't call it that anymore. But yeah, I grew up on Hilltop, just up over the hill. You know where now we're oh my goodness, it used to be the Royal Bank. It's that little restaurant now that everyone goes.
Yeah. It used to be.
Oh my goodness.
Pleasant Street Diner.
Oh, I should remember the name.
Is it Pleasant Street Diner?
That's
is that
it.
Yeah.
That's the Royal Bank, and that's the bank I ever used. And when I saved my babysitting money when I was 12 years old.
Oh my God.
Here you go. There's a little.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you're saying that because it's people. I always have a hard time explaining to people that aren't from Dartmouth, but what we always think of it means to be from Dartmouth because it's we're not Halifax and we're pretty quick. When people say HRM, no, we're Dartmouth. We always will be. There's a vibe over here that people just don't get.
And the music that was here.
Oh my God!
I mean, you could go
crazy.
Like when I played back in back in the day when I had my band and I was playing every week. And I mean, you could go every week and play basically in Dartmouth, and that's what I did. And so, and it was like that. Look at my son's place. When, you know, that used to be the place everyone went, where Richie Oakley and all of that was a little before my time, but you know, Dartmouth sure is a thriving place. Absolutely.
Well, it's funny when Jackie, we did one of our first interviews with Jackie, and he talked about, you know, like you could almost take 6 weeks in tour Dartmouth. You could almost do the 4 weeks in Sackville and probably another 12 in Halifax. It's kind of weird how that worked out. You know what I mean?
And it really did. And I basically played in Dartmouth and Sackville. That was it. Halifax really didn't have country when I was in the country band. They had the Neon Armadillo and the Wild Hearts at one point, but that was basically it. But most of the time I was over here in Dartmouth, on the Dartmouth side.
So you would have been playing like Little Nashville down at Alderney Landing then, and places like that, correct?
Little Nashville up here on Wise Road. I didn't play down at the Harbor Lights.
Okay.
I remember I was in it once, but that was a little bit before my time. But I played at Little Nashville, Village Gate. You know, I was around when the Village Gate was thriving country, when it was country, and the rodeo and all of those things.
The rodeo, yeah. I mean, that was you know what? It was a great bar in Dartmouth. You know, I didn't have the opportunity to play there. I know at one point you had to play about 50 sets a night or something like that. But it, what a great place. I mean, like, you know, location was, you know, maybe a little strange, but it was always packed, and some great folks played there.
Oh, you could see a sea of people. There were nights when we played there towards the end, when it was just a sea of people. It was so wonderful to play. It felt like you were a star or something. It was great.
That stage was awesome too, eh, Louisa? That stage was like, they had the 2 stages at one point, but it was the backstage was just like being almost like at the Palace. It was like that, Sean. It was a huge stage.
It really was.
Yeah.
And I remember when there was a stage there at the Parkside, and was the Penny, and then they built these big stages. And speaking of that, do you know why they built the big stage at the Parkside? Because April 1 played there, and on a little platform, they made a makeshift stage for them, and they were not too pleased. So the next time they came, the big stage. That is why the big stage at the Parkside. A little history for you.
You've been working at the Parkside for 25 years or something, you said. No, I had no idea. Is that right?
Yes, I've worked there a long time, saw a lot of bands there, and I would often be very funny when people would say, "You look like that one that sings in the band." I'd have fun with that. That happened all the time. Yeah. And I'd say, "No, my sister." But I worked there for a long time. No, I had a lot of fun there. I always felt comfortable, and they did a lot of, and I could do my music and waitress. It was great fun. I'm still there, just not right now with the restriction, but I'll be back.
Dave and I were through there on, I think it was Saturday night, and we were talking to Frank for a couple of minutes. We were making the rounds to see what was, you know, live music was going on, and he did say that they're hoping to start up again soon. But I will tell you, I've had the opportunity to be there a lot for auctions, and what a great venue. You know, food's fantastic, staff's fantastic. And you know, and it's a great standing room. Dave and I were there actually before everything shut down. I think the week before or 2 weeks before. Great standing room too. People need to go out and support it, because it's a great spot.
It is,
and it's a big stage, and it's lots of room. And that's where we last played, was with the Louisiana band. It was packed in there. It was wonderful. But I was there before there was a stage. It was the Penny on the Park, and it was owned by Emo and Andy and Helen and Nancy that owned the Montes. That's who originally owned the Penny when I started there.
Wow.
It was Penny on the Park.
Let's hear about some music, though. I want to hear, like, when you first started playing. Have you always done country? Did you do anything else besides that? Or, like, tell us a little bit more about Louisa.
I saw Anne Murray on TV, and I don't know, her voice to me still just resonates with me. But it was just listening to the radio. I really wasn't country. I really wasn't anything. I just decided that I liked to sing. I sang in the choir. First time I sang was at the St. James Church. I was 7 years old, and I sang solo. I have a funny little story about that. I'm sort of embarrassed by now. But at the time, I was supposed to sing with another girl in the choir. And I went home to my mother and I said, I hope that she can't sing. I hope she's sick so I can do it alone. Well, my mother told me that was definitely not nice to say. And she told me, whatever. And I went back and I did sing it along. The poor girl was, I don't even remember her name now, but it was Morning Was Broken. And that was the first song I sang solo. And I guess I got the bug. And I did something in my own mind I wanted to do. And I just loved watching singers and their clothes and their voices and music. I listened to music. I'd sit in my room when other kids were doing other things. I'd be listening to my little record player. And and I just decided that's kind of where I wanted to go. And I was sang a choir. And so that's where it kind of started for me, listening to the record.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people don't realize, there is people with natural talent, obviously. But to get good at anything, you got to work at it. And a lot of people don't realize to get good at music and be a good musician, you spend a lot of time by yourself perfecting the craft before you're in front of other people. So when your friends are going to school dances and, people are going to the beach in the summertime, I certainly remember being home practicing when all my friends were having fun. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm assuming that, you did an awful lot of that when you were coming up.
Oh, in my room, I spent a lot of time, and I didn't have a lot of patience with instruments. I can play the guitar a little bit, but I knew I wasn't, as good as when I heard good musicians and I listened to all those wonderful records. I knew, I said, I could tell when something didn't sound good, but the singing for me came relatively easy. And it was just something I perfected it. And I watched singers. I listened to the best singers on the records. That's what I always say. Linda Ronstadt, Anne Murray, Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, John Denver's songwriting. So I really knew what good music was by what I grew up in. I was fortunate to get to listen to. And the first records I got were, this is another Dartmouth story for you. My father had a store on Alderney Drive called Value Sales. He still has it, or it's still running. And he had a pawn shop. And so many records would come in and record players, and Dad would bring home all these different records. And that's kind of how I got a big, diverse ear for different music, was from those records in the pawn shop. There's a little story for you, a Dartmouth story.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of music here from the pawn shop. True story.
I got a lot of gear for the pawn shop.
Yeah.
No,
I never pawn anything, but I got a lot of good, gently used equipment, so it worked out well.
Yes, that's right. So that's a lot of the records.
What's your first paying gig or first professional gig, and you're feeling pretty confident as a singer? I mean, this is long before the days of I'm assuming. Now, you said 7. That could have been 20 years ago for all I know. You could be 20.
Yes, exactly. We'll leave it at that, yes.
Okay. So, assuming there was no karaoke bars, where did you start singing? Where was your...
Well, I used to get up and sing in talent shows. And country music was something that I kind of had to learn, because at the time, there was only, that I could see, the only contest and times you could get up with a band was to sing with country music, country bands. That's at that time, for me anyway. So I had to really listen. I listened, it was to Country 101. I forget, it was CHFX, I think, at the time. Yeah. And I listened so I get a good ear. And then I would go and I would sing in the talent shows. But probably my first paying gig was with a band called the 3 C's Plus One. And I replaced a lady who was having a baby for the summer. And that was, I think, my first paying gig. And I was always around such nice people when I was young, beautiful musicians that were kind to me, and they taught me things, and they took me under their wing. So I was very fortunate with that band. And that was, I think that was my first paying gig. That comes right to my mind.
Go ahead, Dave. I don't want to interrupt.
See? No, I thought I was going to interrupt you. You see, we're getting better at this now, Louisa. See, we don't fight anymore.
Oh, that's all right. No problem.
So we'll give you a little thing behind. We call it 1, 2. So basically, before we go on, Dave, are you going to be 1 or are you going to be 2? And you pick, and then number 1 asks the first question, number 2 asks the second question.
Yeah, but you'll do 3 in a row. You'll do 3 in a row,
see?
and then see, this is your line.
Dave never gets 1, 2. He's always
because you'll do 3, and I'll try to get him 1. It's like, well, whatever. I guess
that's exactly the way it works. Anyway, Louisa, so did you ever play that SO talent show that they used to have down at Lake Banook?
I went in that twice, and I won it the second time. Yes, I won it. I think it was 1984, and my cousin won it. I don't know how many years before me. She won it, but it was that, and that was the only contest I ever won. And when I first started to sing in 1984, and it was a hot natal day. That was the only contest I ever won. I sang "Good Hearted Woman" and "Storms Never Last," I believe.
Oh, cool.
They were great shows. They had a super crowd. I mean, they always had a great bandstand. It was right in front of the hill with the, they had the seating up at the top, and they would probably got close to 2,000 people watching those shows. It was great.
You're right.
And it was a great opportunity for young people to get out and be heard. There, like I say, there was no karaoke then, or there wasn't a lot of, you couldn't just get up and start like anybody sings. You had to kind of know what you were doing, get up with a band. And I remember it was Jack Furlot went in behind, another kind person. He went in behind the stage with me and took his guitar, and he's like, get a key and get you going. And then I went out. I remember Jack Furlot was a person. There were certain people they took me under the wing. They were just, they were kind to me and kind of showed me the ropes, Nice. So that was a memory of the SO Town show for me.
So what was the first bar you played at then?
First bar, like I played in the Legions and stuff like that. That summer with 3Cs+1, but bar, gosh, probably the rodeo. I think the rodeo was, other than Legions, was way back. This was before the big stage and when they first started it. My first Louisiana band.
So who was playing with that?
So it was Colin Smeltzer, Rob Duggan, and oh my goodness, his name escapes me. I'm sorry, his name escapes me, the gentleman that played the guitar. But anyway, it was Rob Duggan and Colin Smeltzer who saw me at a talent show. And I guess Little Nashville or those places, I guess the rodeo was the first place I played with a band of my own.
Right.
But Little Nashville, the talent shows and stuff like that. And they had seen me, and then they said, let's put a little band together with a girl singer. And that's kind of how that went. And it was at the Rodeo Lounge when we made our debut.
So when you're playing, I guess that sort of, I don't know if you call it a circuit, but you say a lot of Legions was, I see you playing quite a bit, or I see you playing around quite a bit. So back then, were there fairly regular gigs, or did you have to hustle a little bit to find different rooms, or how did it work then?
Well, when I played with the Legions, I was just in the band, so I didn't have to do any of that. But when I played with my own band, it was busy, But I had help. Rob Duggan did a lot of the bookings, taught me how to do it. Again, I was just kind of the girl singer in the band, but he did teach me how to do it. And you did have to hustle, but there was a lot of work, and everybody was trying to get the work. There was a little bit of backstabbing and stuff like that that went on. But you didn't have to, not like now. It's very different now than it was then. A lot of rooms to play,
So you didn't use the representation. You didn't have an agent then, did you, or no?
No, I never really ever did. I was talent source for a little bit. I guess I was a control freak. I like to have control, and not control like crazy, but I like to know where my money was and what was going on. And really, I was kind of shy. I wasn't really a confident person to kind of go up and say, you should, I'm this and I'm that. I was always kind of like timid, and so I didn't really go trying to find an agent and stuff like that. So I just did what I could.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons for sure. I mean, I currently use Marcel at Talent Source, and we use them just because we know if you show up and something goes sideways, it's going to be taken care of. And we're to the point in our lives where, we don't want to put chains on the door and pull them off to get paid. You know what I mean? So, but there's definitely pros and cons to both. Exactly.
Yes, because you don't get the big paying gigs, and and if you're not a big talker, I just wasn't. I don't like to brag. I just don't like that. I'm very shy that way. That's just who I am. That doesn't help to me very much. It doesn't help you to be kind of shy and that way, but that's who I am, and that's how it is.
Well, luckily Dave and I are the same way.
I can't even keep a straight face if he's gonna say that shit. I can't even say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but that's just, you know, when I get on stage, I'm very, I feel quite confident, but I'm not confident with trying to
Well, it's funny. I
talk
was going to
about
say
myself.
this. I wouldn't. Shy is not the word that I would use for Louisa Manuel. I don't think shy is a word. But you're right. I mean, you kind of have that, and there's a fine line between self promotion and bragging. You know what I mean? That you got to be able to talk about the strong points, but sell your product. And now, in your case, you are your product. You know, so that's the tricky part. You know, an agent's good that way because they're going to, you know, sell the crap out of you. You don't have to say a word, right? So that's kind of what they get paid to do. So there's nothing wrong with that job
Exactly.
either. Yeah.
No, and if you meet the right you know, the right one, and I think too, I watched a lot of movies and I read a lot of books about different musicians. So I was always kind of leery, right? Because I knew the pitfalls that could happen, right? So yeah, but there's, like you say, good and bad in both, having an agent or doing it yourself, you know. So I did it my way, I guess.
Right on.
And I'm singing, so I'm still out there singing. I didn't give up. I'm out there. So I guess that's okay.
No,
So
and I mean, again, I mean, it's what works, right? I mean, because I'll be honest with you, not everybody can actually use an agent, because there's a certain, I know for me, sometimes you'll see people playing, you're going like, okay, why didn't my band get that gig? And you're with the same agent, you're asking these questions. And there's always a reason, but so sometimes if you're that person that doesn't like to sit there and wait, that can be a little painful. But that being said, if you're an overbearing person too, club owners and you know, and promoters don't necessarily like that. So you kind of got to find your sweet spot to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Find the fine line. And being a girl too, I think, you know, for me, you have to, you know, you got to be in a certain headspace when you're a girl. It's a little different too, and I was always aware of that. So, you know, I always
it's
had to
unfortunate. It's
say that.
unfortunate, but it's true. You have to probably do things a little harder, a little differently, a little, you know, a little bit more slicker than, you know, because we heard this structure a long time ago that women are smart because they listen to a man or a woman, but most men aren't that smart because they only like to listen to men. You know, that's usually how it works, and it's unfortunate, but that's how it works. You know what I mean? But good for you. I'm like to even
And
keep doing it.
there was a time too, a very strange time when I was playing in the band that I was let go because I was a woman, and that was it was in about 1992. And I remember thinking, wow, I couldn't believe it. And it was because the club owners felt that women didn't come out to see women because we were intimidating their men, or their men were coming out and looking at us. I thought it was the most, I was bizarre to me because I was not there on the other music and to give people a show. And that's the truth. There was a time when all of us girl singers, there were certain clubs that wouldn't hire us because we were women. And I remember I was just wild. I won't mention where it was, but then Shania Twain came along, and when Shania Twain came along, she changed everything for everybody.
Yeah, yep, that's fair. Yep. And you know what is it's funny. One of my very good friends who I played in the band with years ago, her name was Christine Bonsant, and Christine was a Dartmouth girl who grew up in Elmsdale. I didn't want to play in the band with her, and because I grew up listening to bands with male singers, and I was a arsehole 18-year-old, and I remember she called me and she said, "Get over yourself. I'm one of the best singers around here. Who the hell do you think you are?" And I was like, "Whoa, honest to God." She just totally showed me, and it wound up being one of the best bands I ever played in. And I'm ashamed to say that I had that attitude back then. I certainly wouldn't now, because there's so many, you know, talented, forget about females, males, whatever, there's so many talented musicians, but a lot of the stuff that I like to listen to now has female singers.
Yep.
So,
of course, there's some class act female singer, you know, but there was a stigma, and I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand it because I was watching Stevie Nicks and Pat Benatar and Dottie West and all these like beautiful singers, and I couldn't understand why we were being fired because we were women, because we looked good on stage. So yeah, but anyway. Yeah. I had a lot of great people around me, though. I had a lot of good musicians that were really respectful for the most part.
Who are some of your mentors? Then,
you
mentioned the first fellow there. I can't remember his name already. That kind of took you under his wing. Who are some of the other musicians along the way that took you under their wing?
Well, I remember distinctly Gary Giles took me to a band practice, and I'm going to show you how a band practice works and how to. And I'm such, so gentleman. I was only like 18, 19, green. I didn't know anything. And he took me and I thanked him many times for that. Like, he showed me how to go to a band practice and what happens with a band practice. So Gary Giles would have been one. Rob, Doug, and Alan Smelter. And then I met my band that I work with now, just like a Rob Smith, TJ Myers, Donnie Morris, just good people that did. They showed me, they taught me things. I hope I didn't miss anybody there. I don't want to miss anybody that was good to me, but that they come to the top of my head.
Sure. And it's funny because one of the things coming out of Dave and I, we're absolutely blessed to be able to interview people like you mentioned before we started recording, everybody from big to small, whatever.
Yeah.
And going back and interviewing some of our heroes and finding what they did, and it's kind of like we thought they had some secret formula, and really it was no different than what we were doing. They were just maybe a little better at it at the time than we were, and they figured it out. So it's I love hearing stories about people taking people under their wings and showing them, because we didn't have a lot of that until we actually started playing the bars. Dave and I were in a band that got canned a couple of times before we started figuring out what was what. But again, we were very fortunate to have some good mentors that said, "Hey guys, you're not doing this. You need to do that." Important, and I don't think it happens enough, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, you're right. People get jealous and nervous someone's going to get better, and I really work on that. I mean, everybody I think feels that, but I try to really work on that and to support people. And I remember how people supported me. And I'll tell you, a singer that I used to a local singer that I love is Sharon Burry. I remember watching her, and I did not have stage presence that she did at the time. And I remember watching her going, wow. And she, so she would have been somebody that I looked up to try to be like,
Well, we talked to Sharon last night, and I mean, I had opportunities to. I didn't play in a band with Sharon, but I tell you, she was a common. We talked to this when we talked to her. I mean, she would tear the face off you if she thought that you weren't respecting her, and no bones about it. But I mean, she was a great singer, great talent, and I'm glad to hear that, because, like I say, she's been out of the scene for a while. I'm glad that we were able to get her, and I'm glad that you were able to say that. That's
absolutely awesome. She, to me, was one of the best stage presence around here. Like she had it going on. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, there's that confidence level you talk about again. It's that confidence and self-belief, and maybe that's why some folks made a little further than Sean and I did, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they had that much more belief. I'm just excited when I could talk to somebody who didn't stop. You know what I mean? Now, just if you've done this 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be, if you're out there doing it, then, in my opinion, you're a hero. That's whether you're doing it part-time, full-time, who gives a rat's ass. You're out there doing it because A, you love it, but B, it's in your skin. You got to get rid of it. It's something that's part of you, but you're contributing to the arts, and you're contributing to entertainment in the Maritimes.
And I think that if you are a true musician, you have to do it. You don't have choice. Like, I would be so depressed if I couldn't sing, or in some way, like I would. I know, I'm depressed and sad. Because it's something you have to do. If it's true to you, you have to do it. You have no choice.
Yep, it's a great point. I mean, we're lucky we have this forum right now, but I tell you, I'm getting pretty sick and tired of coming home and practicing for a couple hours, knowing that sometime I'm going to get to go out there. But for now, it's in the basement. That's I can't wait to start playing again. Right.
Well, I think maybe we're all going to appreciate things like that, but maybe we took it all for granted a little bit, and now we realize that it could have been, it was stopped. We're not free to just go and do it anymore like we've always been. So make us appreciate it a little bit more, I think.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, because it goes both ways. It's not just the audience that's going to appreciate the musicians. It's the musicians going to appreciate the audience. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I hadn't really thought about it that way before. But it's true. A lot of times and I'm not going to pick on anybody, because some folks just do this, part-time, whatever. But you can't just roll out of bed with your freaking jammies on, jump on stage, put a hat on and your grab boots and pretend like you're a rock star and expect to have that kind of, I don't know, adoration from your fans. You got to respect them too. So thanks for saying that. That's a good point.
Oh, that's what I've really realized, that, take it for granted, it's something that we're blessed to be able to do, and we're blessed to have people come out and see us and let us do what we love to do and have to do, which is our music.
Here, here.
I saw the post that JP Cormier posted there on the weekend. It was basically, there was a survey that was done, top 5 essential workers, top 5 non-essential workers. And the top 5, the very first non-essential worker was an artist, meaning a musician, whatever. And so JP put a very eloquent, and it's a long one, go find it. But basically about what you talked about, music's important. Not only important to the people that are playing it, but the people that are listening to it, because we need it. And it's a thing we all go back. Times are tough. So figure out how to make us essential some way, and we're not a doctor or we're not folks like that, but I think we're essential in a different way that is very important.
It's very true for weddings, for funerals, for birthday parties. I mean, I don't know how many things people have asked me to sing at to their special occasions. So absolutely. And look at on Facebook. People were just loving the people that were playing, and the weekly shows like Jeff Boning did every week, and people would sit around in their apartments ready to watch them. All kinds of people. So yes, it is essential.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, JP, he had a really neat thing where he talked about, and the point was, God love whoever was trying to do it, but a bar basically put aside a bunch of tables and said, we'll sell them for $40 a table and we'll give you all the money. And he basically has said that, that equates to $6.50 a person versus, 30 or 40 that normally he would get at a venue. And his point was that that's the kind of musicians are the afterthought. Like, you do the wedding, you pay for the hall, the caterer, this or that. And then somebody says, I get $200. You want to be my DJ or my, you know what I mean? It's just,
I'll give me some food and drinks.
Right. There's guys that'll do it, and shame on them. You know what I mean? Don't cheapen yourself. You can't cheapen your art. You spent that much time. It's funny you mentioned about being a doctor. Can you imagine what our degrees would look like if we really tried to dictate or depict what we really did for a living? We negotiated, we sold, we traveled, we lift gear, we wrapped this, we learned all of our songs. We spent hours upon hours upon hours, probably 10 hours every day learning how to play this stupid instrument,
And take results, it's not all, we don't get all admiration and all kinds of compliments all the time. There's all kinds of people out there that are ready to knock you down too. So
literally,
absolutely.
You're running out of towns. I mean, there's some places I've been doing New Brunswick, Gay Brett, that we were running right out of town. So what's that worth to you? I mean, like there's something to be said about your commensurate rate of pay for the amount of time you put into it. So I don't like when folks cheapen their product. It's too bad that happens.
And that's a good point, because what happens is that if somebody else goes in under you, then all of a sudden now they say, well, they came in here for X amount of dollars, why can't you? Well, and that's what happens, because other people go. If we all had at least a standard that we get paid, and then up, not a standard and then go down, and that's what happens a lot of times. Is people are just to get in there and play, and it's like, we're going to contest or going karaoke, that there you can play for free. So
well, and you know what? And unfortunately, venues find that out the hard way, and it's usually by undercutting the good talent and bringing in the not so good talent. And I hate to say not good, so good talent, but we'll call it what it is. And it works for a little bit, and then people stop going, and they cross the street to where the good talent is, and they try to figure out what happened. To Dave's point, you're not paying for that, 3 50-minute sets. You're paying for all that stuff that he talked about. You're paying for that experience as well as the music.
Yeah,
exactly. Right? That's very true. You've hit a good point. Very good.
If I'm going to a dentist, I want to go to the guy that's got 50 degrees on his wall. He's going to clean my teeth for $20. You know what I'm saying?
I think someone's going to ask them to do, they're not going to ask you to. I mean, you don't mind coming over for some food and drinks, and not that that's wrong. And I mean, and if that's all someone can afford, that's fine, right? But it's nice to be respected. You know.
Because the whole line of you can come and do it for exposure. Well, I've been doing it for exposure my whole life, so I don't. I've
overexposed myself. I'm way too exposed.
I know. I know. That's funny. That's a good one. Yeah, for exposure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So tell me what's next for
anyway,
Louisa now. So what's next? Like this whole COVID shit's going to be over soon. We believe that with our heart and soul. What's next for you?
Well, Neil and I have been taking this time to learn new tunes. We go once a week in his little lab that he has all the equipment, he calls it the lab. And we go there and we've got a list of songs so that when we come back, we're going to have a whole new show. As for the Louisiana band, we have to kind of wait till we get a gig. I don't want the boys practicing, and then we might get a gig. So that's kind of where we're at, but I do plan to do another Louisiana reunion. I had so much fun with that. And that's kind of where Neil and I and the band are at. And we're all great friends too, like the Louisiana band, we're all remained great friends. So we all are in touch, and yeah, so that's kind of where I'm headed right now.
Very good.
That's fantastic. And you know what? For me, I mean, I haven't met you face to face yet, but it's very nice to actually finally meet you because I know a number of people who I've crossed paths with that have either played with you or so it's good to finally meet you sort of in person. Yeah.
Talk and meet people this way, the Brady Bunch way, right?
Yeah. Well, we always say too, now that things are starting to pan out a little bit, we always invite our guests out for a beer at some point in time. So that invite there is too. We'll gear that up at some point and put a name to a face and a face to a name and all that good stuff.
Well, we'll see. Neil and I will probably be the first. Neil and I will play probably before the band, and certainly we'd love for you to come out and hear some of our sappy. We've got some sappy stuff, but we've got some.
I love that shit.
Oh yes. Neil and I can get sappy, and he's like my best friend. Neil is just a wonderful person.
Neil was a mentor to me when I first started playing keyboards back in whenever it was 86, 87. He was a great friend to me, and I didn't have a clue about programming this shit, and he was an expert. I mean, an expert to take these Yamaha DX7s and turn them into some work of art. It's unbelievable. So no, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Neil McKinnon.
A real moral, good person. Like he is just a good I mean, he's like my very best friend, and he'd be a great one for you to have on this show because he has played with everyone and has so many crazy stories because he was the real deal. He was like in the band, driving the band around with his wife all over the place. He's the real deal. He's done it.
Neil.
We ran into the Neil. I was talking to Neil last Sunday night. We were at Monty's doing some stuff, and yeah, I mean, we will have him on. And you left out a very important part. He probably has one of the best mustaches in the business. I'll tell you.
He's got the oldest mustache.
It's Tom Selleck-esque.
And lots of hair for his age. I mean, like he's got a full head of hair.
Oh yeah, no, he's really lucky there too.
And his energy is like he can go. That is just Neil. He's full of energy and life and enthusiasm, and yeah, he's a good one.
Lisa,
yeah, we're gonna get him on.
Yeah, I never really like to use the word lucky. I hate the word lucky. I mean, I don't think luck exists. It's either you just think you've done the work, you're prepared. This opportunity will meet you when you're prepared to see it. You know what I mean? So you clearly have done the work to be that fortunate enough to be prepared enough to be surrounded by the musicians that you had that have been, this coasted along with you and taken to the point that you wanted to be at. Are you happy with where things are going? Like, is there anything else you'd like to do in your musical career? Or?
I would like to do more recordings, not, I've been to Nashville, done all that, and that's exciting. I don't want to do that, but I would like to do more recordings with Neil and do some, maybe a few original. Again, I don't profess to be a fantastic songwriter. I can be a co-writer. I get great ideas. So a little bit of that, and I'd like to record some more music to be played. And we're lucky to have Seaside FM, which is one of the stations that plays local music. I mean, they play everything that I give them, they play it. So that's something I'd like to do. And I would love to do another video someday, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But those are a couple things that I still would love to do. Absolutely.
It's interesting. Recording is one of those things. It's so annoying when you're doing it, but it's so addictive. It's a lot of fun to sit there and get, minute detail and repeat. To get the finished product. I mean, at the time you're sitting there just wanting to punch yourself in the face because it's like, oh, but then when it's done and you remember the whole process, it's just amazing.
And Jeff Hope, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead,
Jeff
go
Hope
ahead.
did it. We did a recording with, I did my Christmas album with Jeff Hope, and one of the best played songs I have is Christmas Lullaby, which was written by my friend Jeff Bonang, but he produced it, Jeff Hope. I did that with him in his studio probably 15 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. He's got a talent for it for sure. And I mean,
So you were 15.
again.
Oop, I got a black fly here.
Nope.
Because I'm outside where I love to be, outside.
The black fly is interrupting you, Louisa. Anyway, so, no, Jeff's got a talent. He's got a knack for that. And I mean, again, the recording thing is, it's a labor of love. I just had the opportunity to do it a couple weeks ago, and again, it's very tedious and very annoying because you're sitting there hearing all your mistakes. But when you finally get it right, you get that finished product. It's something to be proud of.
You hear it, especially like when I still hear my songs on the radio, I stop and I listen to Seaside and I hear my song on the radio. I'm just like, oh, wow. And I forgot to mention, you asked me another mentor, it was Paul Kennedy. I cannot forget Paul Kennedy. He's a radio announcer, and he has helped me, oh my goodness, right from the time I was 18. So I must mention Paul Kennedy. I'd be amiss and forget him. He's another great person in my life that has guided me along.
Nice. Louisa, we're just
when you need those folks.
Oh, did you want to interrupt me again? I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I wanted to get across to you that we're almost out of time, but I want to know if there's some place where people can find your music.
Well, I'm really bad at putting stuff, uploading stuff. So right, you kind of have to just find me or call Seaside and they'll play it. I'm really bad. I know I should have it on all these different sites, but I'm still from school where you had the CD and you hand it out. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. A few things on YouTube, but they're not, my recordings and stuff like that. But if they contact me, I can get it to them.
Okay.
Well, we'll get the word out for sure.
That's where I need somebody that's good and uploads things and handles that stuff, because I'm not really good with this new technology and putting it out on what are all the new sites I'm supposed to have it on.
Yeah, we don't know either.
iTunes and Spotify and YouTube. We're just digging into this a little bit ourselves as we go along, Louisa, but it's like, yeah. We're just old Dartmouth boys. We're just old Dartmouth boys like yourself, you know what I mean? They're just trying to figure it all out as we go. So
I'm proud of being a Dartmouthian.
I love it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm surprised I didn't have my Dartmouth sweatshirt on today. I usually have it. I said, nah, I better wear white today. Just try and whatever. Look dark.
The first time I saw you, you were doing a tour of Dartmouth, and I loved it. You were going, this is this, and this is this, and I was loving it. I was really enjoyed that, and I wish my father was.
Yeah, I know. He
would have been so perfect for you, because he knew Dartmouth back when there was horse and buggies. And he worked for Joe Zatzman before it was a big, city street. Yes, he did. So my dad had a lot of history. But anyway, that's how life goes. He was 93 when he passed, so he had a good long life.
That's good. That's nice.
Good run, yeah, for sure. And it's great to meet somebody that loves Dartmouth as much, because when we talk to people that say they're from Toronto and then they actually say, well, actually Oakville. We don't do that. We're from Dartmouth.
Yeah,
we are.
We're not from Dartmouth. And we even get a little bit more. I'm from Woodlawn and, whatever. But, I mean, we're from Dartmouth, and it's awesome.
We are, absolutely. And we love to have our own natal day.
Yes.
And we like HRM. We like to be Dartmouth.
And we love Gloria McCluskey.
Yes, isn't she wonderful? I love. Yes, her son was a valedictorian at my high school graduation.
Who's that?
She's lovely.
Tim?
Mike McCluskey.
Right, Mike McCluskey, yeah. Now, Gloria is awesome. She'll tell you when she likes something, and she certainly will tell you when she doesn't. She speaks her mind, and we miss her on city council for sure.
The woman that girls can look up to, I think. He is definitely a male that we can look up to, absolutely.
I'll tell you a funny, quick story about Gloria. Was doing a hockey game a year and a half ago, DHS against Prince Andrew. I was coach Prince Andrew at the time, and we were going to get Gloria in for the puck drop. So I called her. I said, would you come down and drop the puck? Because Darren Fisher said you don't get Gloria. So anyway, So I called her. I said, Gloria, would you come down and drop the puck? Absolutely, I'll be down there, Sean. What time do you want me? And I said, well, the game starts at 7. I said, do you need a ride? And there was a pause. I drive my own car, Sean. What's wrong with you? That's what she said to me, right? God's honest. And she got there, and then she did the old finger like, I don't need to drive. I drive my own car. It's like, so that's Gloria, right?
You got
Spitfire to the end.
Yeah, Gloria, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and that's infant.
Yeah.
You know what, Louisa? I think that there's a lot of, maybe young girls that would look up to what you did and Sharon Burry did, and there's a lot of the other ladies around here that were singers and charged the way, broke that glass ceiling, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be, because it wasn't easy, and you're still doing it, and I'm super proud of you. That's really good. Good on you.
Oh, thank you. I never thought anybody would still. When I was 20, someone had said when I was this age, which I'm not telling you my exact age, but people can guess.
30.
I never.
You're 30. That's
I
fair.
would be like, wow, that's so old. Who would be sing? Who wants to see someone that old singing? And so I'm still singing, and people still come out, and sometimes young people even enjoy my singing. Cool.
Well, it's like this. I mean, we grew up listening to Neil McKinnon and Willie Dobson and, guys like that. And we see them, and we're still 18 and they're still 22 when we're watching them in our minds.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's how you have to look at it, right?
Yeah, you forget sometimes. You go, no, I'm really old enough to be that person's grandmother. Ooh, or mother. Oh, dear.
I say this all the time. Every time I look in the mirror, I see a 20-year-old Louisa. That's just the way that I operate. So gets me through the day.
We still feel that way. So and that's good. We're not old and ready to give up yet. We're having fun.
That's it.
Amen, sister. Amen. All right.
Listen,
it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We appreciate it.
And you guys are doing a great job, and I can't wait to see when you guys go big, because you're doing a great job.
Well, thanks so much. She said it first, so she's when we go big, she's the first guest. You'll be our first musical guest.
You got something going on here, and good
Thanks
luck
so much.
Watching. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, hon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Barstools, Bandtalk, to complete there's a music bucket list.